Okay, let's just dive right in. I want you to forget all the doom and gloom headlines about AI for a minute. We're about to explore a really powerful, optimistic, and frankly pretty contrarian take on the whole AI boom, and it comes from one of the biggest names in tech, Marc Andreessen.
Right off the bat, Andreessen frames AI with this incredible analogy. I mean, just think about that. This isn't just some new app or a little productivity hack. He's seeing this as the literal, real-life version of an ancient alchemical dream, a technology that can create something incredibly valuable, thought itself, out of basically nothing. That's the scale of change we're dealing with here.
So, just how big of a deal is this really? Well, according to Andreessen, we are living through a shift that's on par with massive historical moments, like the end of World War II or the fall of the Berlin Wall. It's one of those periods of massive, fundamental change.
And here's the thing. To really get why AI is such good news, we can't just look at the tech by itself. We have to understand the world that it's showing up in. And as we're about to see, it's a world that, frankly, desperately needs some kind of miracle.
Okay, so this brings us to the absolute core of Andreessen's argument. He's saying AI isn't some luxury. No, it's a necessity. It's arriving just in the nick of time to solve two of the biggest, scariest challenges facing the entire modern world. First up, problem number one. Despite how fast everything feels with our smartphones and the internet, the actual hard data tells a very different story. We've actually been stuck in a 50-year-long rut of really slow technological progress. The engine of our economy, it's been sputtering for a long, long time. And this number right here, it just drives the point home perfectly. For most of our lifetimes, productivity, which is how we measure economic and tech impact, it's been growing at about half the speed it did in that post-war boom. We've been slowing down for decades.
So here's the crucial point. This massive slowdown is happening at the exact same time we're facing a second crisis. We're literally running out of people. Birth rates in the US, in Europe, even in China are just plummeting. And that means a smaller workforce and, eventually, a smaller economy.
This quote really puts everything into perspective. Just imagine for a second if we were facing that shrinking population and slow growth without some new technological revolution on the horizon. We'd be staring down a future of stagnation and decline. We'd be in some serious, serious trouble. And that's the whole argument in a nutshell. AI isn't the threat, it's the rescue mission. It's the perfectly timed engine for productivity that can actually counteract a shrinking workforce and get global growth fired up again. The timing, like he says, is kinda miraculous.
Okay, so that's the big 30,000-foot view. But what does all of this mean for you? For your job, for your career? This is where the story gets really, really personal.
The very first thing to get, Andreessen argues, is that we're kind of framing this whole conversation the wrong way. We get obsessed with job loss, right? But if you look at history, technology almost never just wipes out entire professions. What it really does is it gets rid of or changes the tasks inside a job, which forces the role itself to evolve. So if we apply that idea to the tech world, what happens to that core trio, the product manager, the engineer, and the designer? Well, this leads to a pretty fascinating analogy. He describes what's happening as a Mexican standoff. All of a sudden, the engineer, now armed with AI, thinks, hey, I can do product management and design. The designer thinks, you know what? I can code now, and I can manage the product. And of course, the PM thinks they can do it all too. Everybody thinks they can do everyone else's job. And here's the punchline. He says, they're all kind of right. AI is getting legitimately good at being a coder and a designer and a PM. But here's the real twist. That isn't a threat. It's actually the single biggest opportunity for individual career growth we have ever seen. So this is the big pivot. The question we should be asking isn't, will AI replace me? The real question is, how do I use this thing to become 10 times more effective at what I do? This is where he brings in this really key concept. AI is a tool that creates a whole new class of professional, the super empowered individual. This is someone whose own skills are just amplified to an absolutely incredible degree. And the critical thing to understand here is that we're not just talking about getting a little bit better. A great coder who uses AI doesn't just become 2x better. They become 10 times more productive. They become capable of doing things that used to be completely impossible for a single person to do. So how do you actually get there? Well, Andreessen points to this classic piece of advice from Scott Adams, the guy who created Dilbert. Being good at one skill,
That's valuable. But being good at two skills, that's way more than twice as valuable. It's that unique combination, like the coder who can also design or the PM who can also code. That's where the real magic happens.
All right, let's bring all this home. What's the actual actionable playbook for you right now to really thrive in this new world? Well, it all starts with a specific mindset. It all boils down to this one word: agency. It's that drive to take initiative, to figure things out for yourself, to not wait around for someone to tell you what to do or what you should learn next. He argues this is the absolute foundational trait for success. And why is that so important? Because for someone who has that initiative, AI is the most powerful tool ever created. It's like a giant lever that lets a single driven person have a massive, outsized impact on the world, whether that's in science or art or building a company. And here's how you can build that skill set. For pretty much all of human history, the absolute best way to learn anything, one-on-one tutoring with a world-class expert, was a luxury, saved for, kings and aristocrats. AI changes that forever. It basically democratizes elite education for every single person on the planet. And this brings us to the final, incredibly powerful call to action. The opportunity is sitting right here, right in front of all of us. If you really truly want to become one of those super empowered individuals, you should be using AI not just to do your work for you, but to teach you, to train you, and to make you better.
So look, the most powerful learning tool in human history is now at your fingertips. It can teach you how to code, how to design, how to understand finance, pretty much anything you can think of. The only question left is, what are you going to ask it to teach you first?